Good evening. Today in this video, I want to talk about writing. And I'm going to talk specifically about planning your writing. As you can imagine, in the work I do with students at Band 7 and 8, I often get questions about writing. And I work with many students on their IELTS writing because it's usually the last of the tests to reach the Band 7 or Band 8. And I feel that planning your writing is actually quite key in delivering a good piece of work that will get you the Band 7 and 8. So I've called this video, Don't Put the Cart Before the Horse. And I'll explore that a little bit and then go through what I feel is a good planning process that will help you to get the score that you want. So as usual, I've prepared some slides, which I'll share with you now. And then we can go through a plan together. So, fix IELTS writing, stop putting the cart before the horse. This is quite a well-known idiom, and I think it's one that is very relevant for IELTS and specifically relevant to IELTS writing, because there are lots of places in IELTS generally and in the writing specifically where people do put the cart before the horse. And if you can see that picture in your head where the cart is pulling the horse, you can see that it's not a good strategy and it's not going to work. So focusing on a good plan will help you write the tasks far more quickly and easily. And that's what I want to help you to do in this video. So let's move on. So the first thing that a lot of students do, and again, this is putting the cart before the horse, is to focus on the time and focus on how much they can write in 40 minutes or in 20 minutes, whatever it is. The problem with doing this is that you are focusing on the time and you're not necessarily focusing on what you're writing. So it's really important to focus on the skill of writing at Band 7 and 8. And once you can do that, then you'll find that the timing is not such an issue. And in fact, those students that I've worked with and who have got their Band 7, 7.58 in the exam have found in the end that there was actually plenty of time to complete both the tasks, to plan them well, and also to check them when they had finished. So there is plenty of time if you have a good strategy and follow a good process. You need to know how to write Band 7. You need to know what that looks like, what that feels to write, how to do the things that you need to produce, such as complex sentences, such as a wide range of linking words, such as lots of different synonyms and a wide variety of vocabulary. You need to have that skill first before you start worrying about the time. So focus first on getting Band 7 level or Band 7.5 or Band 8, whatever it is that you're required. Focus first on getting that and then worry about the time later. And once you can do it, and you can do it every time, the timing will not be an issue, I promise you. So take your time to create a process that will deliver Band 7 or Band 8. And then, as I said before, timing will not be a problem. Okay, another place where the cart goes before the horse is around the ideas versus the language. Many students say to me that they can't get any ideas. You have to get ideas, you have no choice. But you don't have to have huge, massive ideas. They don't have to be innovative or groundbreaking. They just need to be relevant. So if you have good ideas or ideas that are relevant to the question, then that's all you need. And they will only impress the examiner if you have written them and expressed them well in good language and good style. So your ideas are less important than the language you use to express them. They must fit the question and you must be able to support them. and you must be able to persuade the examiner that these ideas have merit. But other than that, it doesn't matter what the ideas are. It's how you write them that counts. So how you construct the sentences around the ideas, how you can give the reasons around the ideas, how you can provide examples. These are the things which are important. And you only really need a couple of strong related points. So long as you have somewhere to start, the rest is about the language itself. Okay, so let's move on to the planning. Planning will always help you to write better, and here are some reasons why. It helps you to organize your time. So once you've spent the time on planning, you know exactly what you're going to do. And usually with a good, strong plan, you can write much faster. So then you can manage the time and get everything done well in time for the end of the exam. It also stops you making too many mistakes because you know in advance exactly how you're going to construct your sentences and what is going to go in them. It also helps you to focus on the vocabulary and the sentence structure, because once you've put your ideas into the plan, then you won't be thinking about them anymore. You'll be just completing the sentences to express them. And the problem, if you're thinking about ideas and writing at the same time, is that your focus will go away from the language and onto the ideas. And that is a bit of a disaster, because what is important here is that your English is good, is varied, and is sophisticated. And you need, the higher the band, the more sophisticated you need that language to be. And it helps you also to make sure that you include everything. So within the plan, you can see where your complex sentences are going to be, where the linkers are and what kind of linkers you need to use. So it makes sure that you do everything that you have to do for the band that you want, and you produce a good piece of work. Okay, so obviously, you will always begin with the question. So here is a question, a very typical question from IELTS about international transport. And it's looking at people traveling. As we know, people are traveling more and more. And there are several premises put forward in this question about travel. Now, I've highlighted two of these phrases in the last sentence, and that's because this is the most important thing. Discuss both these views, give your opinion. So you're asked to do two things. Discuss both views, so that means you cannot just give your opinion on one, or you can't say how far you agree. You have to do a discussion on both of these angles, and then say whether you agree with one or the other, or whether you think neither of them are have merit, or both of them have merit. So decide where you stand, and then you put that opinion into your discussion, into your introduction, and into your conclusion. So this tells me here that we're going to need two paragraphs, one about each view, and then the opinion will be throughout those two paragraphs, but it will be stated in the introduction, and it will also be stated in the conclusion. So as I look at this question, a plan is starting to formulate. Okay. So the question was about travel and frequent travel, and whether it was a good thing or a bad thing. So what does it tell us about that? First of all, it's a good thing. It increases cultural understanding and ties. On the other hand, it's a bad thing because it's about money. It means people are going to spend money, companies are going to make money, and it also suggests that you can learn more from the internet and from the media about culture than you can from traveling around the world. So those are the two sides of the argument, and one paragraph will deal with each of them. Two views to discuss. So you should quickly brainstorm a few ideas. So why do you think it is a good thing? What's good about the cultural understanding? And why might it be a bad thing? What's bad about the spending money, and how may that be a detrimental thing to people? So just think about a few ideas. This is your brainstorm. A brainstorm is not a plan. A brainstorm is just getting some ideas. But I find most students just write a brainstorm with lots of random notes, but that does not help you with the essay. So once you've had the ideas and brainstormed, then you need to have some kind of format to help you. Okay. So let's start with the introduction. So the introduction needs to do three things. It needs to introduce the topic, and I'm sure you can reword the question. It needs to introduce the two sides to the argument. So some people feel blah, 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 while others seem to think that blah, blah, blah. And then finally, it needs to introduce your opinion. So these three things represent three sentences. A short first sentence, probably a longer middle sentence that introduces the two sides of the argument, maybe with a linking word in the middle, while, whereas, something like that. And then the final sentence will just explain where you stand. So do you agree with the first group? Do you agree with the second group? No need to give any details about why you agree. That's the point of the main paragraphs. Okay, so let's look at the first paragraph. And we're going to discuss option one, which is it's a good thing. Okay, so here are some ideas. Travel broadens the mind. That's quite a good, again, an idiom that you possibly know, and you can use that. It means you get in touch with different cultures and countries, which can teach lots of things: languages, understanding, different ideas, tolerance. Other things you could have is food, cultural things like theatre, dancing. I mean, there are lots of areas that you could focus on. You won't be able to do all of them, but just pick some of these. Okay, now we can add extra information by using moreover. So immediately this linking word can come in here. Moreover, it can help us to look at our own culture in a different way. Then we have a second idea that in addition, and there's another thing you can use for adding a different idea, it allows lots of people to travel. Whereas in the past, only rich people could do it. But now that there are cheaper airlines and cheaper methods of travel, then lots of people can do it. So that could be a good thing too. And a final point, nevertheless, there are some consequences, such as pollution, air pollution, but these things hopefully could be overcome technologically so that we don't have to stop traveling. So there's a quite well developed first paragraph on discussion, on the first part of the discussion. Okay, the second, option two, and we do more or less the same. So this is the main point. Companies make profits. That's what it's all about. Then we can say, in addition, many people take journeys for holidays, and they maybe stay on a beach, stay in the hotel, sit around a swimming pool, but they don't really learn so much about the culture and the people. It's more about relaxation. It's more a selfish thing than it is an expansive thing. And in this particular case, the internet would be a better way of learning about different cultures. And you can give an example. You should give an example in one of your paragraphs. I think giving an example in both paragraphs is probably a little bit repetitive, and I would be more inclined to give more information in one paragraph, so a furthermore or a moreover, and then in the next paragraph, give an example. So here's an example about holiday packages where you do so many countries in so many days, and you're not likely to spend more than a few hours in any one place. So that's not really developing any cultural understanding. And then finally, there's a little summary. Yes, it's just big business and it has nothing to do with learning about the world. And that is the opinion of the people for option 2 or opinion 2. And now we need to put all of this into the conclusion. So this will summarize what you've said and restate your opinion. So here, we can agree that both sides of the argument have merit. So you can see from how you've written the essay that you've put forward strong arguments and strong reasons for both sides of this debate. However, or nevertheless, in my opinion, I feel that, and then you decide which of these two sides is going to be the one that you agree with. And that will be the end of your essay. Now, if you go back through this summary, this plan, you'll see that each of those points represents 1 or 2 sentences. So when you've written out your ideas a little more fully, all you need then is to turn them into 1 or 2 sentences. Where you have 2 sentences for the point, you can create a complex sentence, perhaps using something like not only but also, or some little phrase like that to make sure it's a complex sentence, a sentence. You'll also see how the sentences are related to each other, and that will help you to choose the right linking word to connect those ideas together. So your plan is like a skeleton of your essay, and when you start to write it up into full sentences, you'll see that it takes far less time than doing it just straight from your head. And it is in this way, with a strong plan, that students are able to get their band 7, 7.5 and 8. It's well worth spending that time to have a plan that will deliver the essay or the task 1 or the task 2 at the level that you need in the IELTS exam. So I hope this was useful. I have written in a little more detail on my blog post, on my article, so go over there and have a look. And in the free resources there are 2 more examples of plans like this, and they also have the essay written up following the plan, so you can see how the 2 interact even more. Okay, so I hope this will be helpful to your planning. I'll stop sharing that now. And I'm sure if you try this, you'll see how it's going to help you to create better writing and to get your band 7 and 8. Okay, so I'll see you on the next video.